Let's review one of the most hyped fragrances this year, Tomavicci's Demigod 21. Hey, what's going on guys? Hunter here and welcome back to my channel. And if you are new, what I do is I make fragrance related content. So if you love fragrances, hit the subscribe button down below and also be sure to follow my Instagram page. But that's right guys, in my hands is one of the most hyped and talked about fragrances of this year. Even though I have had this bottle in my collection for a few months and haven't gotten around to reviewing it, I was like, I have to post a review of Demigod 21. Even though the hype might have settled a little bit, when I looked on their website, this fragrance is actually sold out, so people are still buying this one and enjoying it. And it also did get a ton of hate, especially in like the fragrance community. I don't know if you guys are in like the Facebook groups or anything along those lines, but if you are, you would know about this fragrance. I just never understood the hate when somebody is coming out with a brand or anything along those lines, or even starting a YouTube channel. A lot of YouTubers get a ton of hate as well in the fragrance community. But for me, I always get excited seeing new fragrance brands, new creations, and I just want to get my nose on this stuff and enjoy it and experience it as a work of art, because at the end of the day, that's exactly what fragrances are. I do also want to mention this was sent over for review by the guys over at Tomavicci. However, I will still give my honest opinions. This is not a sponsored video. That was not paid to review this or anything along those lines. Let's go over some information. Now, this fragrance was launched in 2022. This house is pretty much brand new. They just came out last year at the time of this recording. And when they launched two fragrances, which is Demigod 21 for the men, and they also launched a female's fragrance, which is Imperium, which I do have also below me. So let me know if you want me to review that one, and I will as well. For the retail price on this bottle, which is the 100 ml, is gonna set you $228, which is pretty expensive. However, at the end of the day, fragrances are works of art and the artist can charge whatever they want for their creation. The concentration is an extrait de parfum, which is always good. I love when I see a fragrance being an extrait because that means it has the highest of perfume oils in the fragrance, so you are going to expect it to be very dense and heavy and perform. The perfumer behind this is Yusuf Bey, I believe. He's actually a perfumer over in the Middle East, and I think he has created some fragrances over there as well. All that information out of the way, let's go look at the packaging and presentation you get with the Demigod 21. All right, take a look at the box, which is kind of like a basic cardboard box, but it does feel very, very sturdy. Of course, you have Tomavicci pour homme, Demigod 21 extrait de parfum. Nothing on the bottom. On the side, you do have some information as well. And then on the back, you will have your information, your ingredients, and your barcode, and probably a batch code somewhere to authenticate your product and see when it was produced. And then you pull out the sleeve here, and your fragrance will be housed inside there. And you do have a Tomavicci kind of envelope that discusses the house and just authenticates the fragrance. So all in all, I mean, the box does look very, very nice and feels sturdy. Let's look at the bottle now. So take a look at the bottle. The first thing that stands out to me is how elegant and classy this bottle looks. Of course, you have this metal plaque on the front, which I believe is real metal. On the bottom, however, you don't have a sticker, which I'm not really a fan of. Nothing on the back, and I think a lot of brands actually use this design of bottles, so I think it is the same exact thing. On top, you do have this kind of crystal-like top cap, which kind of looks like a doorknob, which is interesting, and this is very, very light. And I have to be honest with you, when I picked this up before, this cap actually came off of the top, as you see there, so it's not the highest of quality. And then nothing inside the cap or on the atomizer. But I mean, at the end of the day, the bottle does look very nice on anybody's shelf. At the top, you have mint, cardamom, and sage. In the middle, you have iris and rose. In the base, you have musk, sandalwood, vanilla, amber, and cinnamon. And this will be classified as a green spicy. So let's spray it and test out the atomizer. Look at that atomizer, guys. This sprays a ton of juice and a very nice mist. So let's go ahead and remind myself of Demigod 21. Whoa, guys, this stuff is coming across so strong from that initial spray on this test strip. I had to let it sit for a moment just because of how potent this opening is. But in the opening, it does come across very spicy and alluring from that cardamom, which cardamom is a very kind of seductive, sexy note in my opinion. And you get a ton of it in the opening. However, you also get a very nice aromatic sage. Even though sage isn't my favorite kind of fougere aromatic note, it is done pretty good in here. and it works nice along the spicy cardamom. In my opinion, what makes this opening stand out from any other traditional aromatic fragrance is that mint note. And the mint is so refreshing and so cooling to the nose. I'm a sucker for a good mint fragrance, and you get a good dose of it along with the cardamom and that sage note. That's where I actually really appreciate what Tomavicci did with this fragrance, because if it wasn't for that mint opening along with the other notes, it would be a little bit more kind of generic and not as unique. But with that mint, guys, this makes it very unique. I'm not really familiar with any other fragrance that has a top like this one. Very green, very minty, very spicy, and very aromatic. Yeah, there's definitely a lot going on so far just from initial spray. So if you like your aromatic fragrances, I think you will really enjoy this one. Even though this fragrance is sold out, they did just recently come out with like 10 ml travel sprays for like 30 or so bucks, which I highly recommend at least checking that out, because this is actually a very special fragrance. And it got hyped up for a good reason, even though regardless of the hate, don't even pay attention to that, guys. People love to hate on things that are successful. Unfortunately, that's the way the world works. Now, once you make your way into the mid, is where you're gonna find those two floral notes, the iris and that rose. What stands out mostly to me is that iris note, which makes it very luxurious. It gives this nice, classy, luxurious vibe about it. And it does come across slightly powdery and waxy too. And it kind of resembles the iris you would find in like Prada L'Homme, which I do own down below, which is another masculine iris-based fragrance, because iris can sometimes come across feminine and smell like a lipstick bag. This one doesn't necessarily smell like that, but it does bring a nice kind of classy, more mature vibe to the composition so far. And you are still gonna get that cardamom and the sage once the iris comes through. That mint, however, does start to kind of dissipate once we make our way into the mid. But still, through and through, with that iris coming through, such a unique fragrance so far. I'm not really getting much of that rose that is listed. Even when I like to try to study this fragrance, the rose doesn't really come through, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. There's so many rose dominant fragrances, or even rose in fragrances in general, even men's fragrances. So far, I'm loving the way this fragrance does develop. Finally, once we make our way into the base, which does take actually a while to get to, this being an straight, you are gonna get the top and the mid notes for quite a long time. But once we do get our way into the base after a few hours, it becomes very creamy and a slightly spicy and sweet from that vanilla, which is probably the most dominant note in the base. It's a very sweet, spicy, creamy vanilla concoction in the base, alongside a nice sandalwood and sort of a cinnamon note that does kind of come out, even though it is hidden behind those two other main players. But just all in all, a very well-rounded, creamy, sort-out base. So just to break it down once again for you guys, the scent profile opens up very aromatic from that sage note and spicy and alluring from that cardamom, which actually does make it kind of sexy from the opening, but you also get that refreshing, cooling mint, which does dry down to a luxurious, waxy, and powdery iris note. And then in the base, you are left with a spicy, creamy, vanilla, cinnamon, and sandalwood note breakdown. One of the most unique fougere aromatic fragrances I've smelled in a few years, to be honest with you guys, which is hard to do because there's so many aromatic fragrances out there that do kind of like a very similar thing. This one though, it does stand out a lot. Let's talk about the best seasons and occasions to wear Demigod 21. In my opinion, guys, this works better in the cooler seasons such as like fall, winter, and maybe spring evenings. Not so much the summer. There's nothing that screams summertime with this fragrance. No citruses, not aquatic at all. So stick to cooler months and evenings, it'll work perfectly. Now for occasions, guys, this one does lean on the formal side. I can imagine wearing this one going to a wedding, maybe if I'm dressing up nice to go to work, if I work in a nice office or however, or even if I'm like a CEO or the owner of a company. This is perfect, guys. This screams luxury. This screams high class. Somebody like a businessman, a owner, an entrepreneur. That's the vibe this gives off. At the end of the day though, you could dress it down in like a hoodie, a shorts, or anything along those lines, but it does scream very, very classy and elegant. Gender and age groups, this is without a doubt a masculine fragrance. Of course, being aromatic fougere, you would expect it to be. I would not like to smell this on my girlfriend or anything like that. It does not smell feminine at all. Very, very masculine. And also when it comes to age groups, this does lean on the more mature side of things, but that's kind of typical with this scent profile and genre. However, like I always like to say, you can wear whatever you want, whenever you want. I just love to paint you guys a picture in these reviews of when I'm smelling something, what I picture in my head is definitely a more mature businessman, CEO, entrepreneur type of guy. Actually, probably somebody very, very wealthy, maybe rolling around in a Rolls Royce, something along those lines, or even getting chauffeured around in a Rolls Royce. That's the vibe I get with Demigod 21. And this fragrance absolutely means business and power. Now, as always, let's wrap things off talking on the performance. And I got some great news for you guys because this fragrance performs very solid, above average performance. I got around 10 hours of great longevity on skin, even not even clothes, which lasts even longer, but on skin I got around 10 hours easily, guys. And that's actually what this fragrance is known for, is for the performance. So that is without a doubt the truth, guys. If you look at that juice, it is very, very oily and potent. You can just tell when it kind of sloshes around in there. This is some strong, strong juice inside of here. For projection, it wasn't necessarily like a nuclear beast mode projector of a fragrance. However, it was still solid. People will smell you when you walk by them, or if they're like in your scent profile, they'll absolutely detect this one, guys. It just won't necessarily scream off of your skin with the projection. I got around maybe 3 hours of solid projection until it came closer to the skin and lasted that up to 10-hour mark. And that's usually the case with the extrait de parfum. They last a very, very long time, but they don't necessarily project them as much, so to say, because what makes a fragrance project is the alcohol concentration in a fragrance. So most of the time, like even eau de colognes will project more, but only project heavy for maybe an hour, and then it comes very close to the skin and don't last long. But this one, all in all, solid performance, nothing to complain about whatsoever. But that's gonna do it for my review of this hyped up beast, Demigod 21. If you love aromatic fragrances and you want a different kind of take on that genre, definitely check this one out, at least sample or even buy the travel spray because it is so expensive before like blind buying a bottle. But I think this one is definitely a fragrance a lot of you guys should definitely try, especially if you like aromatics. So that's gonna do it. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe down below if you guys haven't already. And I'll see all of you back here in my next upload. Take care, everybody.